You don't need to chase better people. You just need to become incompatible with the patterns that hurt you. Have you ever noticed a strange pattern, especially in dating? You meet somebody new, it feels familiar, it feels intense, exciting, but then you get hurt in the exact same way. Most people think it all comes down to luck. It's all a coincidence. I keep meeting the wrong people. I'm so unlucky. But what if I told you it's not luck at all? Attraction is not magic. There's no such thing as magic. Everything is connected. Relationships are no different. You attract what you give off in some way. Every single move that you make, every action that you take has some sort of effect on everything else. What if there's something deeper here? Something structural, something that shapes who enters your life. Something that psychology, physics, and even ancient spiritual traditions all point to. Psychology tells us something important, but something that's kind of uncomfortable for a lot of us. It's that we don't attract what we want, we attract what feels familiar. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for patterns it recognizes, especially ones formed early on in your childhood. If chaos felt normal growing up, then calm is going to feel boring to you now. Guys, this is not far out. This isn't some crazy spiritual thing. This is just our biologies. Your brain is wired to prioritize predictability, not happiness. So when somebody feels instantly magnetic to you when they come into your life, oftentimes this is your nervous system feeling that chemistry it's so familiar to. In physics and chaos theory, there's something called an attractor field. An attractor is a state that a system naturally falls into over time. For example, if I throw a bunch of cords into a bag and shake up the bag, what's going to happen to the cords? They're all going to tangle up into a big mess. This is the state that the cords in the bag wants to become. No matter how long I leave it in there, and no matter what I do to the bag and the cords, they're always going to become this tangled mess. This is attractor field theory. No matter where the system starts, it eventually spirals towards the same pattern. Things that are insane distances away from one another, things you wouldn't even consider to be connected. Everything is connected to something else, and that something else is connected to a something else. Everything ends up being connected to another in some way, shape, or form. The key idea is this. Systems don't choose their attractors, but they express their attractors. You do not consciously choose the same type of person, but you emit a frequency, or you could say conditions, that pull these same dynamics back into your life. So now that we've got the psychology and the physics out of the way, let's bridge this with spirituality. Ancient traditions often say, as within, so without. You are not attracting people based on your thoughts alone. You're attracting them based on your emotional baseline, your tolerance for discomfort, what you consciously and unconsciously allow, what you believe that you deserve. If you say to yourself, I want a girlfriend, I want a relationship, the world doesn't really listen to that. It doesn't give you what you ask for because you asked for it. The world does not respond to what you wish for, it responds to what you are. When you stop wishing for something, you get that something. If I go around smiling at people, talking to people, making friends, being nice, the energy that I give off is going to attract somebody else who also wants to smile at somebody and be nice to somebody and be friendly. Look, man, let's get real, okay? For years, all I wanted was a relationship. All I wanted was a girlfriend. I read books. I listened to podcasts, I listened to videos, I listened to dating coaches. It didn't work. It did not, no matter how hard you try, you really don't get what you want. You may read all of the books in the world. You may listen and take the advice of 10,000 dating coaches. But your attractor field hasn't changed. The pattern will always return. You do not escape an attractor by thinking differently. You escape an attractor by becoming unstable to the attractor, meaning what once felt normal now feels unacceptable. What once felt exciting now feels draining. What once pulled you in now no longer fits. This is not a mindset, okay? This is not a shift in mindset. This is a shift in your identity, your core identity. So how do attractor fields actually change? Well, in physics, an attractor field changes when the parameters of the system changes. And remember, an attractor is the state in which a system wants to be. A system always eventually, inevitably reaches this attractor. So what are parameters that we can change in attracting the right people and the wrong people? These are things like boundaries, self-respect, emotional regulation, the ability to tolerate calmness, walking away from something early, not late. The moment you stop abandoning yourself, the system around you adapts to this and it reorganizes itself. Suddenly, familiar people feel wrong to you. New people feel quiet, but they feel safe. Attraction and results feel slower, but they feel deeper. They feel more real because they're matching you and what you really are. So the real question isn't, why do I keep attracting the wrong people? It's, what version of me feels most at home in this dynamic? What is the state that I want to naturally be in? Is that the state of being with somebody who's kind, who's calm, who understands me and listens to me and gives me patience and respect and sets boundaries? Whatever state that you feel most at home, where you feel most safe in, this is the state that your body naturally wants to become. Like, your spirit wants to be at home. And once you are home, you attract everything you deserve. Because when you change the internal structure of you, the external stuff, the external patterns begin to collapse. They cannot survive without this internal power, without the internal energy. You are a system within a system. The system inside of you that wants to be at home powers everything that is attracted to you. And once you take away or change your inner power, your outside world will change because it's no longer being powered the same way. You don't need to chase better people. You just need to become incompatible with the patterns that hurt you. And when this happens, the universe is not going to reward you with fireworks and excitement. It's going to reward you with peace and quiet. And at first, this peace is going to feel unfamiliar. It's going to feel boring. It's going to feel off. But unfamiliar doesn't mean it's wrong. It often means you've finally escaped the attractor that was once holding you back. If this resonated with you, I want you to sit with it. You don't need to fix anything today. just notice these patterns without judgment. I've made a couple videos about viewing and observing our thoughts without judging them. And that's very important if you want to change your internal structure. And if you want more conversations where science, psychology, and spirituality, come together as one, then you are welcome here anytime. Anyways, this is Avery. Peace out.